Blessed be my witches, and welcome to another episode of Witch Please. It is I, Odin the Seer, and today we are going to be talking about a few things. What I wanted to talk to you about today is mainly loving, being in love, and original sin. This is something that I find a lot of people are very confused with, and I find that a lot of people don't really know what it is to love and be in love. You see, love is a support. I get asked all the time, why is it that God allows these things to happen? Well, God loves us. And that love is supportive. And that means that God's going to let us have whatever experience we want to have. When you're in love, it changes. Most people don't know that oxytocin, being in love, is the closest thing that you will find. It is akin to being angelic. It's the closest thing to God. So I have a lot of people who come to me all the time looking for spells, looking for love. But in actuality, what they're looking for is to be closer to God. What is hell? Hell is being away from God. Now, one of the big problems that we have here is that there's all these conditions on how we can love, who we should love. You see, and these limitations are part of the ego. They hinder us from being able to be exactly what we truly are. And that is the soul on this plane of existence having an experience. People misconstrue original sin with, we are born in the whole act of intimacy and so on, and being brought down here is what makes us evil, or makes us bad, or makes us sinners straight out of the gate, and that's really not the case. What we need to understand is when our spirit and soul split to come down here and have an experience, we were very much aware of the fact that we were going to be going into a limited reality, okay? A reality where the weaknesses of the flesh, or the illusions of the ego, and the flesh being something separate, or being the only true reality, was the sin. When we hold an illusion of the self in that way, whether it be an identification of the self, you are this, I am that, that separation, that is sin. Okay, that is being away from God. Because you're not acknowledging the fact of what you truly are. When you stop and think of all the things that we do that we have considered to be normal, that actually are in the realm of sin. We have a tendency to say, I identify myself as this, and because I identify myself as this means that I have to live and be this and that and the other. Anytime you put earthly things before what is real, that is sin. If you take a look at the pentacle with the apex up says all spirit above all things. But when you look at the pentacle or the Baphomet reversed, you will see that it's saying all things above soul. If you put the physical above soul, that is a sin. Not who you lie with, not who you love. Right? You should be able to love anybody. Anybody. Now, this does not necessarily mean that you have to be in love with everybody. That's not the case, okay? That is not the case. Some people are in your reality to be a support, to be like God, and be love. Allow you to have whatever experience you're supposed to have. But when it comes to a deep connection, when it comes to a synthesis, right? That's where we talk about being in love. I get so many people who mistake the angelic energy of oxytocin as real love. And it's so limited, and they limit it to ideals and beliefs that don't really coincide with seeing that entity as what it actually is, a soul here having an experience, wearing a flesh suit that is in and of itself sinful. Because it created a sense of individuality. It represents individuality. It does not represent a whole. I want to share this with my witches because I think that we really need to start breaking down a lot of the illusions. I think we need to start really taking a look, especially now with everything that's going on, and start understanding how much we need to stop allowing these illusions to play such a prominent role. We are all interconnected. And whether or not we like to believe this, right? I've had people say this all the time to me, I hear all this all the time, if you don't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love anybody else? RuPaul says it, and RuPaul is right. But the difference is, a lot of people do love themselves. They're still here. If they really didn't love themselves, they would perish. But they're not in love with themselves. See, the power of being in love rather than loving somebody. Love is the support. Being in love with somebody transforms you. It transforms you. I hear people talk about, I don't want to be alone. Well, when you're in love, you're not alone. I have told people in the past, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that because I can't get through to you. I don't hold that power. My job here is to be a support to you. We need to bring in the oxytocin, the dopamine, the serotonin, right, the adrenaline for transformation really to happen. How many of us have really grown and changed by being in love? The vibration of loving yourself is keeping you alive. The vibration of being in love with yourself causes you to grow. You see, when you love God, God supports you. When you're in love with God, He nurtures you so you can grow. And that's a big difference, darlings. When you love people, they support you. When you're in love with people, you become a part of them. You grow with them. You feel what they feel. You experience what they experience. That's something that I really wanted to be able to share with the Witch Please family. I really wanted you guys to be able to understand the difference between them. To be able to understand how it really works. If you are going to limit your ability of being in love with the person because of external forces, that is a sin. If you are going to limit your ability to be in love with somebody because of how they look, their religion, their gender, their social standing, quirks that they do that you don't necessarily like, if you're not going to be in love with them, that is a sin. Especially when you know that there is something there. Something there that's supposed to help affect transformation and change in your world, and you deny that because external forces, that is a sin. I talked to you in one of my other videos about falling in love with my spouse being transgendered. I did not identify as that. I didn't. But I fell in love with him. And it changed my life. It changed me as a being. You see, because that force of being in love was so powerful that it allowed me to ask myself so many different questions. It allowed myself to explore me as a person. It allowed me to take all of those theories and put them into practical application. There was an episode of Frasier where Bulldog fell in love, and he was deeply in love, and he said to Frasier that he was driving to work, and a song came out, a love song came on, and he said he had to pull over the car and cry because all of a sudden everything made sense to him. He got it. That's what the power of being in love does. You get it. It's really a simple concept if you think about it, but it's such a powerful one. Anytime you put physical before the soul, that is sin. Those are the sins of the flesh. Anytime you allow ego to be in control and separate you from what is real, that is sin. It's not who you love. It's not how you love. It's not when you love or where you love. When you have sex with somebody that you don't have a connection with them. You don't want to get to know them. You don't want anything. You just want to be able to have that with them, right? That would fall into the category of sin. Not who you were doing it with. Gender didn't matter. Doesn't matter. But you know what else is also a sin? When you don't develop a connection and fall in love with somebody there's a deep connection with. When you decide to put physical limitations before that. Oh, I'm not interested in people of color. Oh, I identify myself as being a chubby chaser. I can't be with somebody like that. That is also sin. Because again, physicality is far greater than what that being actually is. I don't necessarily know if this video is ever going to see the light of day, but I had to film it. And there's so much more, my witches, that I would love to say here, but the divine is calling and I gotta go to class. So I'm just gonna say this. I love you, my Witch Please family, and I am going to be your support. I will continue to do that. And that is our episode for today. If you have not pressed subscribe, you know you need to press subscribe, join the Witch Please family, and do not miss out on a thing. You can follow us on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, as well as Facebook. You can always send me a personal email at witchpleaseofficial@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment below. I said it before, my witches, and I'll say it again. It is a pleasure to have you in my world. It is an honor to have you in my magic. You are always in my heart. I will see you again on another episode of Witch Please. I love you, boo-boos. Bye-bye.